I made the film I intended to make. I'm releasing the film that I wanted to release. So I'm very grateful for that, because that is happening less and less in the United States especially. I don't think I would have been able to make that film anywhere else.
I'm visiting my mother tomorrow.
Are you at the airport?
I'm on my way. It's not safe, is it? What do you think I should do?
I'm sure you'll do the right thing, sweetheart.
Well, I wouldn't compare him to any other actors, but I would say that, I mean, BEAU is very much, Joaquin's BEAU is very much the character I wrote, but it's not that it changes so much with him as that it grows and deepens, and he's an actor who's kind of always investigating and always asking questions, and the minute that something is obvious, it's dead, right? And so we have to move on and find something new. And that was a very beautiful experience, was to work with somebody who was always in pursuit of something that wasn't only kind of true, but something that was alive. And you know, he's an actor who takes a long time to make decisions as far as, you know, what his next project will be. And the reason he takes so long to decide, okay, yes, I'll do this, or, you know, maybe I won't. The reason he takes so long is because he knows that once he is committed, he is going to devote himself completely, body and soul, to whatever he's doing. And this was a very physically demanding part. I think he was surprised by how physically demanding it was. I was kind of surprised. I knew it would be demanding, but it really took a toll on him by the end. Not only because of certain things that he's doing and because, you know, he's being thrown around a lot in the film, but also just the tension of the character and what he's holding inside of himself. And there's it's a very inward performance. It's a very quiet performance, I think, in a not so quiet film. Yeah. The film is a film of extremes, and he's a very passive, kind of locked-in character. He's kind of trapped in himself. And I think that was actually the thing that took the greatest toll on him, was playing somebody who was so stricken by ambivalence and
unable to introspect and to reflect on what's happening to him. Like,
yeah, exactly. He doesn't have the necessary insight to really be able to navigate his own emotional responses to the world, yeah.
You will walk many miles. Dozens will become hundreds. Hundreds will become thousands. Your adventures will continue for years and years.
I just need to get home.
Well, I love Denis. He's a really wonderful person. He has a lot of love in him. He's a very beautiful person. One of my favorite people in the world. And I became aware of him. I mean, I've been aware of him for a long time, but I saw him in Xavier Legrand's film.
Jusqu'à la garde, yeah.
Yeah, it's Custody in English, and I thought he was so great, and he reminded me of a person that I had to sort of deal with in my life. The villain he plays in Custody, I thought was it was a very rich character. I mean, it's a very ugly character, but psychologically, like you understand him every step of the way. It's a brand of narcissism that makes total sense, which is you know, a credit to Legrand as well. But I was pretty amazed by that performance, and I recognized that person, and I found it very scary. And so ever since I saw that, I just knew I wanted to work with him, and that he was an extraordinary actor. So this was just the first opportunity I had to offer him something. I'm always thinking about certain actors and trying to keep myself open to opportunities.
Yeah. What's very funny is that when we talked the last time with Denis in January, so very recently, he told us that his dream would be to have a TV channel he would switch on and he would only have the best news of the day, like small news, like just the cat didn't die from falling from the 7th floor and stuff. And when I arrived in front of BEAU IS AFRAID and there was these chaotic streets, like a human rampage and stuff, I was like, wow, that's exactly what Denis doesn't like to see in humanity, you know, like the evil side of it. I thought it was very interesting, the contrast between what he said and what reflected the beginning of your film.
Interesting, yeah. I mean, that sounds like Denis. That's a very Denis thought. He's a great guy. Yeah, no, he's also just a great sport. He's there to serve the film, and there's no vanity there. I really hope that we'll have another opportunity to work together. My first feeling when it came out in the States was that I shouldn't say anything at all, and I should let people just see it and then digest it, and they'll have whatever experience they have. But maybe one thing that would be good to say is not so much a warning, but an expectation setter, and that would be to say that I think the best way to watch the film is to come in very open, and that the film will change, and to expect the film to change. Meaning, it's a picaresque, so it goes from kind of world to world. And the film is designed to be very spacious, so it's a film that you're supposed to kind of roam around in or swim around in, and the pacing changes, and so the movie you're dropped into is not the movie that you kind of will leave, and so I think the best way to watch it is to maybe be ready for that. I mean, the whole thing was a challenge. It was a very hard film to make, especially just because there were so many locations and so many worlds. What's hard about that is that you become used to a world and you become used to an environment, and that takes a while. And then right when you've become used to it, right when you become confident, you move to a new place and you have new actors coming in and you're starting from scratch. And so it keeps you from ever really feeling comfortable, which I think is a good thing, because it keeps you on your toes, but it also prevents you from ever feeling like you have your grip on the film. But again, I think it's kind of important to never feel like you have too strong of a grip, because then you might just become complacent and you're just executing a plan, which I've done before. I feel like I've had that feeling of, okay, now we're just executing the plan, and I think it's a shame to not have the feeling of discovery all the way through. If that's possible, that should be the goal, is to keep discovering the film as you're making it. And this one, because there was so much to do and we were building this world from scratch and making everything, it was never finished. It was never there was never quite enough, because I always wanted more, which I think drove a lot of people crazy. But that feeling of needing to pack it with more and more, it was very good for. It made it so that we were always running to keep up with the film, as opposed to spinning our own wheels. Yeah. It was just a matter, I mean, honestly, we had as much time as we had, and then we had the resources we had, and there's just kind of an end to the road at a certain point. I would still be working on it probably if I could, but it's just how it goes. And I'm very proud of the film, and I'm very happy with it. And I think in a lot of ways it returns in some ways to the themes and the ideas of films I've already made, but the idea was to make something that kind of represented the end of that road. And so in some ways there's an element of parody at play, and I think the film kind of deconstructs itself and then kind of almost self-destructs, right? It almost cannibalizes itself. Yeah, it kind of collapses in on itself. So it's a you know, somebody said yesterday that they found the film cathartic, and then I realized that I'm not sure that I do. I think the first two films dealt with catharsis in a way, and that this one maybe is about a refusal of catharsis and about withholding it and then denying it. I don't know. It's anyway. It's an interesting thing to think about, but it is for me maybe the third film of a trilogy that I wasn't quite aware that I was making, but I think it is. I've made all my films with A24, and it's been a really wonderful experience, and it's been a great collaboration. They've really stood behind me and supported the projects, and the fact that they got behind BEAU is Afraid gave me the resources that I needed and the freedom I needed to make it. The fact that it is what it is, which is to say that I wasn't made to compromise the film. So whether the film works for you or not, I made the film I intended to make, and I'm releasing the film that I wanted to release. So I'm very grateful for that, because that is happening less and less in the United States, especially. I don't think I would have been able to make that film anywhere else.